All right, everybody. So I am going to go over this paper that discusses how do chloroplasts capture energy from the sun. My recording stand broke, so I had to rig up a little something, so hopefully it will be clear enough. So it says plant cells and some algae contain an organelle called the chloroplast. That sounds very important to me. Plant cells and some algae contain an organelle called the chloroplast. So plant cells, like trees and grass and such, and algae cells both have something called a chloroplast in them. They are concentrated in the leaves and allow plants to harvest energy from sun. This process is called photosynthesis. Pigments in the chloroplast absorb sunlight and use this energy to combine carbon dioxide and water to make glucose and oxygen. The complete reaction is carbon dioxide plus water plus energy, this is from the sun, come together to make glucose and oxygen. So carbon dioxide, remember from our carbon cycle, water from our water cycle, and the energy from the sun come together to make glucose, which is also known as sugar. Get a pen. Sugar. And oxygen that we breathe. Okay, so the raw materials, that's what goes inside. It's what goes in the reaction is the reactants. Okay, and the products are what come out of the reaction. These are known as the products. So our reactants are the carbon dioxide and water, and the products are the glucose and oxygen. You will need to know this, okay? Let's continue. Plant cells can use this process to manufacture glucose, which is a simple sugar. Some of the glucose is used immediately for cellular respiration. Remember, that's from our carbon cycle, where it is converted to a high energy compound called ATP. You might recall from studies of the cell that the process of creating ATP occurs in the mitochondria. Glucose that is not used right away is packaged as carbs or fats, and then stored in the roots, in the seeds, and in the fruits. All autotrophs can make their own food this way. So autotroph, auto means self, troph means feed, so they are self-feeders, okay? Unlike heterotrophs, which must consume food. So hetero means something else, hetero means different, so different foods. When you eat a potato, you are eating the carbs that the plant created from sunlight. So we are going to color this diagram to make sure that we understand all the parts. So the sun and the energy is going to be yellow. You can use markers, you can use colored pencils, you can use crayons, but the sun is yellow and the energy it makes, yellow. Okay, check. Photosynthesis itself is green, so it's happening right here in the cell. This is photosynthesis. Check. The storage products, the parts that it is stored in. Remember we said that it's stored in the roots, the seeds, and fruits. So they are brown, and so a brown carrot, a brown potato, that's a brown apple, just so that you know that that is the storage products. So remember, when it's not immediately used for cellular respiration, we use it, it is stored in the roots, seeds, and fruits. Okay. Carbon dioxide is going to be red. So for photosynthesis, it goes in, CO2 comes in, right here, and in respiration, it comes out, right here. Check. Now respiration itself is purple, and it's happening right here in the mitochondria, and it's going to create that energy known as ATP, which I'm going to color orange. ATP is orange. Now water goes into the process for photosynthesis, and it comes out of the process for cellular respiration. It goes in and it comes out. Okay, so for example, when you breathe out, you know how it feels a little hot? That's the water coming out with the carbon dioxide. Also, plants, remember, they transpire, so they release water. So that's where this water, they've done photosynthesis, they've done respiration, and the water is coming out through transpiration. So I'm going to find, check mark, sorry. Glucose is dark blue, so that is the sugar. Remember, the sugar that the plants made. Okay, some of that sugar, remember, some of it's immediately used for respiration and some of it is stored. Check. And then lastly, what we mostly focus on, you know, when we think about it, is the oxygen that we use as humans. So like selfishly, we are excited about the oxygen, but it is just a byproduct of photosynthesis. So plants are making that sugar for themselves, and the byproduct, the leftovers, is going to be the oxygen. But we just happen to use that. So, yay us. Check that off again. So, just a refresher. Our reactants, what goes in is our carbon dioxide, our water. These go in to photosynthesis. The product is going to be the glucose and the oxygen. So if you continue looking at this, the reactants for cellular respiration is going to be the sugar and the oxygen, and the products is going to be water and CO2 and this energy. So if you notice, the products and the reactants for photosynthesis and cellular respiration are the opposite. So what goes in to one comes out the other. What comes out one goes into the other. So they're a vicious cycle. Let's look at our questions. So, what two types of cells contain chloroplasts for question 1? So if we look right here, plant cells and algae cells both contain an organelle called the chloroplast. So if you pause the video and answer number 1. Number 2, autotrophs, which means self-feeder, like plants, make their own food using energy from, let's look where we found the word autotroph. The word autotroph is right here. So autotrophs make their own food using energy from, make their own food from glucose. And this process is called photosynthesis. I'm overthinking it. So they're making their own, using energy from the sun, and this process is called photosynthesis. All right, heterotrophs obtain their energy. Remember, we read heterotrophs must consume food. So they're getting their food from eating other food. What are the reactants or the raw materials for photosynthesis? So right here we have the reactants right here for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide and water are the reactants or the raw materials for photosynthesis. Okay. What simple sugar is produced? Remember, glucose is what's produced. What gas is used in the process, and then which gas is released. So the gas, this is a gas, oxygen is gas. So carbon dioxide is a gas that is used, and then oxygen is a gas that is released. Where are most photosynthetic cells in plants found? Well, it would make sense that the part of the plant that is open to the sun is going to be where the photosynthetic cells or the chloroplasts are located. And so if you think about it, what part of, for example, a tree is open to catch sun rays? If you can't remember, it is right here. What compound can be made from glucose and serves as long-term energy storage? Think back to our macromolecules. We're going to be making carbs or fats.